Good morning. My name is Katie Yankosik. Thanks for being here with me on The Grace to Recover. You can check out the website, thegracetorecover.com. I'm going to be talking with you today about Recover in Color, my workbook that takes a year to go through. Your your best bet is to do this with somebody. If you don't have somebody to do that with, please do it with me on this website. We're going to be going to section 3 of the book today, which is boundaries. There's 13 lessons in each section. So we're on week 27 in the boundaries section, and the first lesson is called You Are a Private Cottage. The idea for this week, this will be the page that you color. And the idea for the soundbite, You Are a Private Cottage, the concept of it is to begin the conversation about boundaries. We often understand boundaries from a physical standpoint of your living quarters, your home. In this case, the cottage is a metaphor for you. You are a private cottage. Many of us have had our boundaries violated, and it blurs your understanding of good and healthy boundaries, your safe and separateness from others. So the lesson starts out asking a provocative question. Have you ever been plowed over emotionally? Boundary busting people will demand, encroach, engulf, or even devour us. Blurred boundary lines between two lives results in confusion and eventually results in pain. Lacking boundaries makes us susceptible to being used and abused. And feeling unsteady, we will tend to focus on others and often check in for acceptance and approval from others. Without boundaries, that check-in with others routine is unfortunately how we will often assess, are we good enough? Are we safe? Are we okay? It's similar to how an infant feels with their mother, drawing strength and confirmation from the mother, looking to the mother for validation of sense of self. Somehow we feel positively towards ourselves only if we can verify that another person positively regards us, that we have their approval. And maybe we outgrew that infantile urge to merge, but maybe not. And maybe our insecurities attracts us to a more powerful, other approving person. Sometimes that person is forceful. They're the boundary violating person. And in contrast, maybe you're the boundary violating person. Maybe you're trying to engulf, devour somebody else, get them to gain their sense of self from your approval. And there's a constant checking. By the way, this is really something that social media has made worse in the dynamic with us, with others. Let me go back to the book here. It says, if you are the person that is devouring or engulfing another person, maybe you have an urge to merge, and that inclination is for you to take care of another person or control another person. But unfortunately, you end up robbing that other person that you want to have a relationship with. You end up robbing them of their personal power. And they then, in a sense, become reliant upon you to have a sense of self. And that feeds your false sense of control. Experts will call this relationship, this type of relationship, codependency. And one trusted expert suggests that the more yielding, people-pleasing person in that relational dyad, meaning two people, has a lack of self-love and is desperate to be accepted and desperate to be useful. The dance is one in which the aggressive partner dominates while the other person or other partner submits out of fear that they are useless or worthless. and then might be unworthy and might be discarded. The result of a boundaryless relationship is an imbalance of power where the desires and opinions of one partner carries more weight than the underdeveloped or perhaps just underexpressed desires and opinions of the other person. Both people end up feeling stressed and agitated because it's an unhealthy, dysfunctional relationship. So even though you may think the aggressive partner is quite happy and the aggressed upon one is not, in actuality, both people suffer in this type of a relationship. So this week, with the lesson, You Are a Private Cottage, the focus is on boundaries. Remind yourself that you are your own person. You are safe and strong without merging with the other person. Staying separate is healthy for both. Imagine yourself as a private cottage on a private lane with a front gate and a beautiful garden out front with a sitting bench, a front porch swing, a parlor in the front room, a kitchen in the interior of the cottage, and a hidden stairway that leads to upstairs where the bathroom and the bedroom are. Understand that some people should, so the metaphor is you are that cottage, and understand that some people should never cross your cottage's front gate. Let me show you the picture. This might help. This is my friend Lori. I love to show her work. This is my friend Lori's cottage. And this is my drawing. Let me set this down here. This is my drawing of a cottage. So picture that in your mind. The metaphor is you are that cottage. So some people should never cross the front gate, while others can come through the front gate, but they should be the type of people that just sit on the garden bench out front. That's as far as they should get. Then maybe the next closest friend would get to the front porch, but never get inside the cottage. And then some people can come into the parlor of the cottage, well, then progress to the kitchen and maybe up the back stairwell to the bedroom. But every person in your life should start at the front gate. So you shouldn't have, this is a problem with like a one-night stand. A one-night stand rushes the other person all the way through up to the back stairway and up into the bedroom and bathroom. And that is not healthy for either partner because you haven't had a chance to build trust or to get to know one another. So, and there should be fewer people that have access to the upstairs of your private cottage, metaphorically speaking. In other words, you can't be the same boundaryless person and tell all, show all, reveal all with every person. And unfortunately, again, I'm pointing the finger at social media because it has made us boundaryless in many ways, where we have 400 or 500 people who know what's going on in your day-to-day life, where it used to be just a select few. Okay, let's go back to the lesson here. This week, it's saying, remind yourself to focus that you are a private cottage and to focus on the boundaries. Understand that some people should never cross through your cottage's front gate. Others may enter the gate and sit on the garden bench. The farther into the cottage, the fewer the people should have access, and everyone should start at the front gate. I'm repeating myself. So use this word picture to put a map in your head of healthy boundaries. Unhealthy relationships will make you feel as if someone is in the closet of your upstairs bedroom cottage, picking through your clothes and telling you what to wear. The cottage and the closet break-in will lead to resentment and insecurity as you sense the violation, because you will sense the violation. Over time, you will no longer trust yourself in your ability to make decisions and run your cottage independently. So this week, remember, you are a private cottage. God owns your cottage, yes, but He gave you the keys and He gave you control of who comes and goes and who you share those keys with. This is a metaphor. So under personalize this lesson for think, it says, I am healthier when I function as a separate individual. I am my own private cottage. Feel. I feel aware of my boundaries. Literally work this week on feeling aware of your boundaries. Where are your limits? How much can you tolerate? Is there enough of you to go around to people? And who is getting into places and demanding things of you or engulfing you, devouring you, and you don't like that or want that? I feel in charge of the access points of my emotional self. Where's my cell phone? This is an access point. Your cell phone is an access point. Are you in charge of it? Do you respond to every incoming text? Do you have to? Do you feel frustrated? Are people making demands of you by wanting an immediate reply from you? Can make us feel a little edgy and agitated. Under do, it says do install boundaries. Once you think and feel through this lesson, go ahead and find the action point of where you need to reinforce some boundaries. Be wise in who you allow access to the interior places of your cottage. Is there somebody who you've allowed access to that back stairwell and you're thinking, I need to revoke their keys. I need to back them out a bit. They should be a front porch person. Sometimes this feels weird, especially when I'm talking with women who are like they need to back perhaps their own mother or a sister or a best friend who's just getting too engulfing, too devouring into their business. The memory verse this week is kind of interesting. Of course, the lesson is in the sound bite to be rehearsing is you are a private cottage. The Proverbs 25:17, the lesson says, seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. It progresses pretty quick. He becomes weary of you and hate you. But this is metaphor language as well from the book of Proverbs. And it's thinking, seldom set foot in your neighbor's house can be read as metaphor for don't be poking around in something that's not your business, because that does make other people feel weary and can cause some disdain. All right, let's go to the boundaries journal section in your workbook and take a look let's talk through some of the workbook questions. Before we start that, I wanted to say a shout out to one of my besties, Barbie. Thank you for this nice warm pullover sweater that I'm wearing today. I'm recording this from my rental apartment in Alaska, so this is a perfect little pullover to have on today. So weekly lesson number 27, you are a private cottage. Question 1, what is hard for you about establishing boundaries? Be specific. What makes it hard? Do you fear that others will not like if you put up a boundary, if you don't text them back? Does that just give you anxiety? Or in the reverse, if you text somebody back and you don't get an immediate reply, does that make you anxious, and why? Do you feel rejected? Do you feel nervous that they've abandoned you? Play around with that idea this week. Question number 2. Name 3 people you want to enforce stricter boundaries with and why. Get in touch with that. Why? What are those names that surface right away without even thinking? And then why? Question 3, in what ways do you cross the boundary lines set up by others? I'm so guilty with my 2 adult sons. I do want an immediate reply from them, and I can sometimes do the meddling mother thing where I think I know best. We have a saying in my family, MKB, Mama knows best. But that's not fair, and that can be very violating, me pushing the front door open to their little private cottages and demanding entrance, and I just want full access. So I'm guilty of that and need to sit with that this week as I do the lesson. The 4th and final question this week is recall and record your past experiences with failed or poor boundaries and the resulting consequences. This is where that step of taking a good inventory comes into play. Where have you done wrong, and what happened? Why did it not go well? that's a great thing in life where we observe and think it through and alter in the future, growing in the grace and knowledge of God. That is part of what he gives us God gives us insight into. And the suggested song this week is In My Father's House. The idea is getting into the presence of of God's house. In a sense, we are his house. His spirit resides within us. This idea of getting in that interior space within, knowing that God loves you and accepts you there. And there's healing inside there. So thanks for being with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful for your emails. Those of you who are reaching out, please feel free to visit the website and drop me a line. Thank you. Until next time, God bless.